Welcome to the Oral Histories of Hancock County. My name is Michael Povich, and this is the seventh in a series of interviews we've been doing of people who have lived and grown up in Hancock County and who are sharing their memories and their life stories with us. Today we have the pleasure of having AltaTate with us, one of the truly most interesting people you would have the pleasure of meeting. And good morning to you. How are you?
Fine.
Happy to be here. Aren't you?
No.
Okay, well, that's an honest answer. Well, let's start back on, is the date January 1st, 1920, a date you remember?
Well, yes, of course I remember my birthday.
Okay, and you were born in 1920.
Right.
So, doing the math, how old are you?
Now?
Yes.
95.
And you look like you're in pretty good shape.
Well, I think I am.
I know you are. Now, you were born where?
Do I?
Where were you born? What town?
Arrival.
And where in Arrival? I don't think Arrival had a hospital, did they?
You did what?
Where were you born?
In Arrival.
Yeah, but at what place? What home?
Oh, in my father and mother's house.
Okay. And how many children were in your family?
10.
10. And where were you on 1 through 10? Which number were you? Which one were you?
Number 2.
Okay. So how many girls and how many boys were there?
6 girls and 4 boys.
Right. And how many are still with us?
5 of us.
Good. Now, who are your parents? What were their names?
Elwood and Flora for us.
And were they born in Arrival too?
My father was. My mother was born in Portland.
She's from away. Mm-hmm. Did they accept her? Hope they did. So what did your dad do for work?
My father worked in the woods.
And that we know what that means, but what did he do? Was he basically a logger?
Yeah.
Now in those days, you didn't have all these power saws.
No, of
You
course
didn't have these big power skidders.
No.
Didn't even have these trucks. So how did he cut the wood and how did he get it out of the woods?
Haul it out with a horse and a sleigh.
Horse and a sleigh.
Well, logging sleds.
Logging sleds.
Yeah.
Which are really were the skidders of the day. They were skidders.
Yeah.
Yeah. How'd you cut the trees down?
My head with an axe.
Okay. They used saws also?
Yeah. Hand saws.
Were they the ones that one person used or two-person saws?
One person.
Now, how many people worked in the woods with your dad, or was he by himself?
Oh, I don't know. Probably 3 or 4, that's all.
And was he a logger all his life?
Yes.
And your mother was busy too, wasn't she?
I think so.
And what did she do?
Just took care of the children.
Now, growing up in Arrival, it was basically a farm.
Yes.
Now, what did you do about food? There were no grocery stores in Arrival.
Well, you raised your own food.
Okay. And what did you do about meat?
Well, you had beef.
So you'd have a beef critter, and
And chickens.
Did you do your own slaughtering? Did you or your family kill the beef critter?
Oh yes.
So you didn't say it. And
And deer meat.
deer meat, which is not one of your favorites, is it? Now, everybody did chores in your family, is that right?
Everybody what?
did chores. You all had little jobs to do.
Oh, yes.
Now, as you were growing up at home, what kind of chores did you do?
Well, I usually lugged in the kindling wood.
Okay. And anything else that needed to be done?
Yes.
Now, in the summertime, were there any blueberry fields on your farm?
Yes, my father had a big blueberry field.
And were you asked or told to pick blueberries?
Yes.
And did you use a rake or did you do them by hand?
No, pick your hand.
And you really liked that job, didn't you?
Well, it was money.
But did you enjoy picking blueberries?
I didn't mind it.
But you don't like eating blueberries now?
No.
Why not?
I had too many of them.
Okay. Now, in Arrival in those days, as you can remember, you was born in 1920. There was roads. There was a road to Ellsworth, road to Bangor.
Yeah,
Were they paved roads or dirt roads?
dirt roads.
Were there a lot of automobiles or cars or trucks in those days?
No.
How did people get around?
With a horse and wagon.
And you had horses and wagons.
Yeah.
And how long did it take you to get to Ellsworth from Arrival?
Oh, Lord, I don't know. I never went too much.
What's that?
I never went too much.
Okay. And you also went to could go to Bangor, right?
Yes,
Do you know how long that trip took?
yes. My father's mother lived in Bangor.
I see. So you visited your grandmother.
Yeah.
And do you recall how long it took you to get to Bangor by horse and buggy?
No, I don't know.
You usually didn't do it down and back in one day, did you? Usually spent the night. Now, on the farm, back when you were growing up, did you have indoor plumbing?
No.
What did you have?
Outside toilet.
Okay. Did you have electricity?
No.
Did you have central heating?
No.
So what did you do? What did you use instead of electricity? How did you light the house?
Kerosene lights.
Okay, and what about drinking water?
What about what?
Your drinking water. Where did you get your drinking water?
I had a spring.
And you hauled water.
Yeah.
Do you recall how old you were when electricity came to your area?
No, I can't.
But at some point while you were still living, you did get electricity up there.
I don't remember.
Okay. Did you ever get indoor plumbing at the farm?
No.
Okay. All right, so you grew up, did chores, part of a big family. You went to school, didn't you?
Yes.
And did you have a kindergarten then, or did you start right in the first grade?
Sat in the first grade.
And from what grade did you go to school in Arrival?
It was 8.
First to eighth. Now, for the first 2 years, first and second grade, what kind of school did you go to?
Grammar school.
I know, but how big was it?
Well,
I mean, how many rooms?
no, one big room.
One big room? You looked around here.
Well, I was looking to see how, not as large as this room, just about half.
Half the size of this room was,
Yes,
was
just
your
about.
one-room schoolhouse?
Yeah.
And you had first through eighth graders all in one room.
Yes.
About how many students were there?
There was 2. One at the lower end of town.
No, I mean, how many students? How many students in all went to the school?
Oh, 22.
Okay. And how many teachers were there?
1.
And so that teacher taught all 8 grades, taught all subjects to everybody. Is that a yes?
We do what?
Yeah, you agree with that? It was just one teacher teaching everybody.
Yeah, that's right.
Now, that school was closed from December to March, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Why was that?
Well, you couldn't get there.
Why couldn't you get there?
For the roads were plugged.
There's no highway department back then. Nobody plowed the roads.
No.
So you simply closed the school down. Now, when you were there during the cold weather, how was the school heated?
But wood stove, a heater.
Was it usually nice and warm
Was it? Sure, of course it was.
when the wood was burning?
Yeah.
Now, did you have desks?
Gas?
Desks.
Oh, yes.
Okay, so everybody had a desk to sit
Yes.
at. Okay. Now, you stayed at that school for 2 years. Then there was a second school built. A second grammar school was built,
Yes.
and that was built by your father?
Well, he let the town have the piece of land. He helped build it.
Okay. So you went there to the 8th grade. Now, while you're growing up and going to school, you had a pet called Black Beauty.
Yeah.
Who was Black Beauty?
Pony.
And how did you get the pony?
My father went over to Bangor and bought it.
And paid a fair amount of money for it, didn't he?
He paid $100.
That was a lot of money back then.
Mhm.
And who did he buy it for?
For all of us.
All 10 of you?
Yeah.
And how many of you liked riding it?
Well, I was about the only one.
So it became your pony. And you enjoyed it. Now, you then went to high school.
Yeah.
Now, in those days, not everybody went to high school, did they?
No.
And of your family, how many went to high school? All of them?
No. Well, I think Horace was the only one besides me.
And why didn't the other 8 kids go to high school?
Well, because you had to work your board, and they didn't have no place to stay.
So basically the town, like today, if a kid from Otis or Marival goes to Ellsworth High School, the town pays their tuition.
Yeah, that's right.
But not in those days.
No.
Today, if a kid goes to high school, Ellsworth High School, or the Voc Ed School from Otis, they get a school bus ride, don't they?
That's right.
Didn't have school buses in those days.
No.
So to go to high school back in the mid-30s, you had to find somebody you could stay with.
Right.
And that wasn't easy when you have 10 kids.
No.
So, did you want to go to high school?
Yes,
And
I did.
why did you want an education? What was it in your makeup that said, I want a high school education?
I don't know. I just wanted to.
Okay, back in those days, did you do reading and things like that? Did you enjoy reading, for example?
Yes.
Okay. All right, so you entered high school, good. You graduated in 1939, right?
Yeah.
From Ellsworth High School. So about 1935, you started high school. Where did you stay?
Well, I stayed with Casper Sargent.
Now, the Casper Sergeant we know would be
Oh.
the grandfather of the sergeants who have sergeant real estate here in Ellsworth.
Yeah,
Is that
must-
correct? That
It must be.
Because his son was also Casper.
Yeah.
And where did they live in Ellsworth? Do you remember?
And when I first went there, they lived at Ellsworth Falls.
Okay.
And I used to walk down. And if it was rainy, why, Casper used to take me.
Now, high school back in 1935 was where?
Right. Well, where the Moore School is.
Right, it was the Moore School, and then now it's the Moore School Community Center.
Yeah.
So that's a fairly good walk, wasn't it, every day from
Yeah.
the falls to school? But did they have school buses in those days or not?
Oh.
Okay. Now you see school buses all over the place, don't you?
Yeah.
All right. So, in return for you being staying with Casper Sargent, what did you have to do?
Well, they had two boys, Sonny and Kenneth,
Okay.
and I used to babysit, tend them, and then I washed dishes, swept the floors, and stuff like that.
Did they give you food?
Oh yeah. Of course
Okay. Now, how long did you stay with Casper Sargent?
I stayed there 3 years.
Okay. And then your last year you went with who?
Yeah.
Excuse me?
Yeah.
After Casper Sargent, where did you stay?
Oh, that summer I worked down to Forest Mowers, and she said if I stayed there, that they pay my way on the bus. It was Staples bus.
Okay. And was that out on the Bangor Road?
Yeah.
That's
Mm-hmm.
just past the Baptist Church on the big
Yeah.
curve. The big white house there used to be called Moore's Motor Express.
That's right.
So that big house is where you stayed your last
Yeah.
year.
Yeah.
And there was a private bus company that gave you a ride to school.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, did you like high school?
Yes.
What were your favorite courses?
Well, typing, really.
Yeah. So did you take the college course or the
Yeah.
commercial course?
I took a commercial course.
Was there ever the thought of going to college or not?
No, I never thought of it because I just couldn't.
Couldn't afford it back
No.
then. So, what kind of activities did you participate in at high school? Was-
Nothing.
Nothing, you just studied.
No, went to school.
But you didn't play basketball or cheerleader or sports or anything?
No,
Why not?
they didn't have them.
Okay. And what, did you pretty much have to work when you weren't in school?
Did I what?
When you were not in school, when school was out,
Yeah.
did you have to work
Oh, yes.
for Forest Moore?
Yes.
But you graduated in 1939, and we're going to backtrack now. We're going to backtrack. I'm going to take you back to 1937, 2 years before you graduated. Are you familiar with what events took place at the Marival Grange Hall? What was going on at the Marival Grange Hall those days?
What was it like?
What was going on? What activities at the Grange Hall?
Well, just the Grange meetings.
Yeah, but what else? There was some dancing.
Oh, we had to. Well, that was just during the summertime.
Oh, just during the summertime? Was it once a week, every Saturday? Or,
Every Saturday night.
and there was dancing, and was there live music, usually? Bands playing?
No, just people like you.
Yeah, but there had to be music.
Well, they had a piano, an organ, I guess it was, and they had old drums.
Okay, a very small group.
Yeah,
Okay. Now, did you go to the dance pretty much every week?
usually,
You like dancing.
yes.
So back in sometime in 37, the Rival Grange Hall, did a young man come up to you and say, "Let's waltz"?
Oh, she said, let's dance.
Let's dance.
Yeah.
And who was that guy?
My husband.
Well, he wasn't your husband then, was he?
No.
And what was his name?
Leslie
Leslie Tate.
Tate.
Okay, and you didn't really know him before that night, did
No.
you? But there was something about him that interested you?
Yes, he was. He was nice.
You okay? You want
There.
some water?
No.
Okay. He was nice. And you enjoyed dancing with him.
Yeah.
So did you basically become steady after that?
Yes, I think we did.
Okay.
I really can't remember.
But anyway, you remember him.
Oh,
And besides dancing, what did you and Leslie do for activities?
nothing. That was it.
Well, didn't you go into Ellsworth on occasion?
Do what?
Didn't you go into Ellsworth once in a while?
Oh, we're going to a movie.
Okay.
The theater.
Was that at the Grand Theater?
Yes.
Okay. And did you have a favorite restaurant you went to?
I don't. Well, we didn't very seldom go to a restaurant.
But do you remember Lucchini's?
Yes.
Did you ever go there?
Yes.
Okay. Now, at that time, Leslie owned an automobile, didn't he?
Yeah.
And it was a 1934 Chevy.
Yes.
And that's how you and he got to Ellsworth from Rival.
Yeah.
Now, one time when you drove into town and were going out somewhere, did you play a trick on him? That sounds like a yes.
I think so.
You think so. And what might that trick have been?
Well, he parked the car right in front of Newberry's,
Yeah.
and he went in there after something. I can't remember what. And I moved it. I can't remember who was with me. And I moved it down below.
Okay. So when he came out to
He
get
had
into his car, what happened?
He had no car.
Had no car. And that didn't please him for a bit, did it?
No.
Well, I got to ask you another question, being a former prosecutor. And the statute of limitations is run, so you can't be prosecuted. At the time you did this, did you drive the car? Were you the one that moved the car?
Yes.
Did you have a driver's license?
No.
You did not.
No.
Okay, well, that's a good story. All right, we'll move on. Apparently you guys liked each other enough because 5 years after you met, you got married.
Yeah.
That was in January of 1942. And was it a big, lavish wedding?
Are you kidding?
I guess I am. So tell us about your wedding. How did you go and get hitched?
We just went to a minister.
Just right into Ellsworth? The two of you?
Yeah.
Did you need to get a license?
I guess so. I can't remember.
But you got married, were your parents present?
No.
Did they know you were getting married?
I don't know. I suppose so.
But they liked Leslie, so
Yes.
there was a good wedding. Okay. Now, when you were first married in '42, of course, World War II was going on. Where did you live after you got married?
He had a job for the government, and he built on house cabins on ships at Northeast Harbor.
So these were ships for the government.
Yeah.
So that was why he didn't. Was that the reason he didn't go into the service?
He was called, but he had polio when he was 8 years old.
Oh, really? Yeah.
And he was lame, and so they turned him down.
Okay. But he still served the country by.
Yeah.
And what was his specialty? It was carpentry, wasn't it?
We do what?
Carpentry.
Yeah, that's right.
Now, moving along to 1942, September of 1942, did you have your first child?
Yes,
And who was that?
a Peggy. Isabel.
Isabel May Tate, nicknamed Peggy. Is that right?
That's right.
All right, now, reading your scrapbook, why was she named Isabel?
After his sister.
After
Yeah.
Leslie's sister.
His sister had passed away.
Okay.
And so he wanted to name her after.
So, and what about May? Where did the name May come from?
Well, his sister's name was Frances, and I knew a person that was named Frances, and I couldn't stand it. I said, no way. We call her Isabel, but not Frances.
You had a tendency to name your kids after family members.
Right.
But what about May, though? May was no family member, was it? The middle name?
No, I just picked it up.
You liked it?
Yep.
Well, then, try to clear up this. She came into this world as Isabel May Tate, and forevermore she's been called Peggy. How did Peggy come into existence?
Because that was his sister's maiden name. They called her. I don't know why they did, but
So, Isabel also was nicknamed Peggy.
yeah.
Okay. Got it. Now, in 1944, 2 years later, you had your second child.
Mm-hmm.
And that was,
Judith.
now Judith was named not after any family member, was she?
No, he was a great reader, and had read this book, Western book.
Leslie had.
Yeah,
Okay.
and he liked the name. He said we call her Judy.
Okay, so that's how Judith came in. Now, at some point after living in Northeast Harbor for a few years, you moved back to Otis.
Yeah.
And when did you move back to Otis?
Oh. I don't know.
But it was after the war, maybe? Well, anyway, that's not important. And so you lived in Otis for a while, and then you lived briefly in Ellsworth, didn't you?
Yeah.
Because to take care of Leslie's Aunt Grace.
Right. That's right.
And then after she passed, you moved back to Otis.
Yeah.
It was that point when you got your present house, where you live now.
Yeah. Yeah, we must live there. We lived upstairs over his parents.
Right.
We must have lived up there a good year anyway, if not longer. Then he bought this piece of land off his father,
Okay.
and that's when he started building it.
And that's the house you now live in.
Yeah.
And you've lived there now for almost 70 years, do you think?
Yeah,
And your husband built it.
that's right.
And you helped. And as from reading your scrapbook, when it was originally built, you didn't have a foundation, a cellar.
We didn't have any cellar at first.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah.
And then, I don't know how long we lived there, probably a year. And then he built the cellar and moved the house on it.
Pretty clever guy, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Now, when you built this second house, or your final house, at that point, was there indoor plumbing?
No.
Still didn't have it.
No.
This was what, in the 40s? So you still had an outhouse,
That's right.
and you still had to bring your own water in.
Mm-hmm.
What did you in those days? What you do? Cook by wood?
What do I?
When you had cooking, you had wood stoves?
Yes.
Uh, Electricity then?
Yes.
Um, the electric. What about phone service? When did you first have phone service?
So, I don't know.
But today, in the house you live in,
Yeah.
you've got electricity,
Yeah.
and indoor plumbing,
Yeah.
got television,
Yeah.
got radio,
Yeah.
got cable TV,
Yeah.
so and telephones.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, part of your hobbies over the years is you like to knit and crochet.
Yeah.
You still do that?
Yes.
And what are the things you knit and crochet?
Oh, I make dishcloths. At one time, I knit the girls when they were small, each a sweater.
What are you thinking? Okay, go ahead.
And of course, mittens.
Mittens are a big thing. As I recall, you got them for Christmas all the time. Now, you still snowmobile ride?
Well, yes.
You do,
I
at
have-
95.
Yeah.
And how, do you do your own snowmobile or do you ride with somebody?
No, I had one of my own,
So you snowmobile last winter?
right? We used to go to Rangeley in the winters.
So where do you snowmobile now?
Well, I haven't for the last year.
Yeah, but when you did, where did you snowmobile?
Oh, up to the pond,
Excuse me.
all around, up through the woods.
And you go with the group?
Well, usually there might have been 3 or 4 sleds at the time. No, they did more than that.
Please stop for a second. Okay. Now your final career before you retired is you worked for many years at Hancock County Creamery here in Ellsworth, didn't you?
That's right, 35 years.
35 years. And you basically ran the joint.
The what?
You basically ran the business. You were the manager.
No, I wasn't the manager. Cliff Pickford.
Yeah, but you pretty much ran it, didn't you? Don't be modest.
You what?
You ran there for 35 years. What was your job at the creamery?
Making ice cream, putting the machines together.
So did you actually make the ice cream?
Yes,
It was good ice cream, by the way. You know that.
of course it was.
So what kind of ice cream products did you make?
Oh, my Lord. We must have had at least 10 to 15 different flavors.
Yeah, I remember because Mike's grocery store, growing up, I ate too much of your product. So it's all your fault. Now, you have grandchildren? How many grandchildren do you
Yes.
have? You lost Leslie in 1996 at the age of 82. Your husband died in 1996.
Yeah,
And you were married about 54 years.
yeah.
Now, I'm going to end it this way. Things have changed in Otis. You've gone from no electricity, no running water, no central heating, no phone. You have everything now up there. You've got the
Right.
internet, you got the TV, you got electricity.
Yeah.
And I've been told by my sources that your favorite TV programs are westerns.
That's right.
And which is your favorite TV show?
Bonanza.
And you watch it every day?
Yeah.
All right, wouldn't miss it, would you? All right, now listen. We want to ask you, how tall are you? How tall are you?
Oh. Not quite 5 foot.
Okay. You're 95 years old. You're got every marble in your head running around making sense, more sense than I'm making.
I hope so.
Well, we know so. And you're healthy. All right. Looking back, what is your secret? Why have you stayed healthy so long?
Well, I don't know.
Well, did you smoke?
No,
You have a little wine now and occasion? No drinking?
no.
You're a good Baptist. You go to the Baptist church.
Right.
Because your mother helped by living to 96. Right?
Is it?
Your mother lived to 96.
Yeah, that's right.
Your dad died at,
He was 69.
you you got a good family, and to end up with the most amazing thing we came up with, your family gave me, is this incredible scrapbook done by, memory book done by your grandson.
Yeah,
You've seen this, haven't you?
yeah. Oh, for Pete's sakes.
You want it back, don't you?
I forgot you had that.
Well, blame your daughters. I didn't steal it. I did not take it from your house. But it's a, he
There
did
we are, snow sledding.
What's that?
I said, there we are, snow sledding.
Anyway, we're running out of tape. I want to thank you for participating and sharing your memories. This is the oral history of Hancock County, and we've had the pleasure of talking with AltaTate for the last bit of time. Goodbye.
Is that it?